Hey everyone, welcome back to the discussion. Today we're diving into a fascinating research paper exploring the impact of language models like ChatGPT on various occupations and industries. It's a topic that's been generating a lot of buzz lately, with predictions ranging from widespread job displacement to revolutionary productivity boosts. So, what's the core methodology used in this paper to assess this impact?
The paper uses a methodology called the AI Occupational Exposure, AIOE measure, originally developed by Felton et al. This measure assesses how exposed different occupations are to AI without making assumptions about whether that exposure leads to job replacement or enhancement. It links AI applications, like language modeling, to human abilities described in the ONET database, which details the skills needed for various jobs.
That sounds interesting. How does the AIOE measure actually work? Can you break down the process for us?
Sure. The AIOE starts by linking AI applications like language modeling, image recognition, etc., to human abilities like oral comprehension, problem solving, etc., using a crowdsourced matrix. This matrix shows how strongly each AI application relates to each human ability. Then, using data from ONET, which describes each occupation as a combination of these abilities, they calculate an ability level exposure score for each ability.
And how is that ability level score then used to determine the overall AIOE for an occupation?
The AIOE for each occupation is calculated by weighting the ability level exposure scores by the prevalence and importance of those abilities within that specific occupation, as defined by ONET. This gives a single score representing the overall exposure of that occupation to AI. The higher the score, the greater the exposure.
So this original AIOE measure treated all AI applications equally. How did the researchers adapt it to specifically focus on language modeling?
They modified the calculation to give a weight of 1 to the language modeling application and 0 to all other AI applications. This isolates the impact of advancements in language modeling on the AIOE score for each occupation. This new adjusted score is highly correlated with the original AIOE score, indicating a strong relationship between general AI exposure and language model exposure.
That's clever. What were some of the key findings regarding occupations most affected by language modeling?
The top occupations identified included telemarketers and various post-secondary teachers, such as English, foreign language, and history teachers. This highlights the potential impact on both customer service roles and education. It's important to note that the AIOE only measures exposure. The actual effect, job displacement or augmentation, depends on other factors.
And what about industries? Which ones showed the highest exposure to advancements in language modeling?
Legal services and the securities, commodities, and investments industries were among the top industries identified as highly exposed. This makes sense given the significant use of language processing in these fields. Interestingly, the language modeling focused AIOE also showed higher exposure in higher education and related industries.
That's fascinating. Did the study explore any relationship between wages and exposure to AI language modeling?
Yes, they found a positive and statistically significant correlation between occupational wages and the language modeling AIOE score. In simpler terms, higher paying occupations tend to have higher exposure to advancements in language modeling.
That's a significant finding. Does this suggest that higher skilled, higher paying jobs are more vulnerable to disruption from AI language models?
Not necessarily. The correlation doesn't imply causation. It could be that these higher paying jobs simply utilize language processing more extensively, leading to higher exposure. Whether this leads to job displacement or augmentation is a separate question.
So the AIOE measure provides a valuable tool for understanding potential impacts, but it doesn't predict the future of work. What are some of the limitations of this approach?
One limitation is that the AIOE focuses on task-based exposure, not considering factors like the adaptability of workers, the pace of technological change, or the